Hello everyone and welcome as we are just getting started, but welcome to the show. Welcome to Spoiler Warning featuring myself, Tom, for this show today, and plenty of course of your questions to answer. There are apparently many dropped frames and it's saying no date. We're not having a great time so far on the good old-fashioned YouTube. Apparently it thinks I'm doing 2500 bits. I don't know if this is working or not. If it is, please give me a heads up and let me know that you can see me. If not, I really genuinely have no idea. I do apologise once again. I see a lot of questions, reviews. There we go. Okay, I can see my face. Sorry guys, I don't know what's happening right now. It sounds like nothing's coming through properly from the streaming software, so we're getting buffering. Let me try and clear some things out. In the meantime, welcome to the show. Please do continue to drop comments and the like, and we'll get to them as soon as Let's try this again. Fingers crossed. It's saying now we have a good connection, which is better than it was. And hopefully we start to see things flow through properly. I'm not seeing any more delays on the streaming side. That should mean we're coming through fine. Please do let me know if things are still going crazy for you. Thank you, Dimitar. Brilliant. Okay, we have at least one saying things are working. That's always a good thing. Working now. Thank you, Harry. Okay. Right. Apologies for that, everyone. A few technical issues. I pressed live and immediately my internet decided to conk out, but not on anything that isn't this PC. Everything else was working absolutely fine. So it was definitely a localized problem. I don't know what happened, but we are where we are. Thank you, everyone, for the clarification. No sound. You should definitely have sound. Should definitely have sound. Does anyone else have sound? Looking good. Now it's working. Oh, thank you very much, Martin, on the Twitch side for popping over and hitting that follow. I appreciate that. Right. Okay. Brilliant. Thank you, guys. Really do appreciate that. And for the 19 likes already. Great start. Right. Let's jump into it. We have plenty on YouTube. I know I was chatting to a few of you before the show. Always appreciate when so many people are already here. It really does fill my cold little heart. We have dropped frames again. It's the software, it seems like. But hopefully we can push through this. Right, okay, let's get started. Welcome everyone to Spoiler Warning featuring myself, Tom Colohue. Apologies for the 4 minutes of carnage that just happened, but we are now back in flow. Our headlines today, Royal Rumble updates for big names such as CM Punk, Sasha Banks. We also have something on Ripley and Lynch and their position for the Royal Rumble and the return of Cody Rhodes. We are talking Bo Dallas. We are talking Vince's veto power over, bear with me one sec. 5, wow. Over basically everything that the WWE do, and the nervousness that now surrounds so many people backstage, including people in the top chairs. Of course, we will also be answering your questions, but that is the news that will be coming out of this show. Our first question, as always, comes from Simon, and it's about Sasha Banks. All I've got to say on Sasha is don't expect her to be popping up at the Royal Rumble. Really? A lot of people are thinking, oh, well, she'll go away, she'll do this, but she'll come back. Don't expect her to turn up at the Royal Rumble. The signs are not good for that. As regards AEW, once again, as always, no idea, couldn't tell you. Richard Smith says, how long do you think it will take Vince to completely rip up Triple H's plans for WrestleMania? Right now, Vince McMahon does not have that power. However, and this is what I mean when I talk about Vince's veto power, Vince can acquire the power to do that very easily. Vince McMahon has put himself in a position where he can do literally anything he wants, and I need to make that clear. I know I put a short out about it earlier, and it's completely necessary that people understand the situation. Vince McMahon has changed the laws. He's changed the rules. When it comes to the WWE, he's put himself into a position now where he has ultimate power. With his 81% of the voting share from shareholders, he can not just put himself and other people on the board, he can flood the board with Vince McMahon cronies. He can do whatever he wants, including, if he so chooses, put himself back on creative. What this means, pardon me, is that he is basically in full control of the WWE, and that means he can bump Triple H if he would like to. At the moment, he has reassured everyone involved that he does not intend to do that. Historically, do we trust the McMahon? Even the McMahons don't trust the McMahons. Also on that, of course, I finally have been able to get a reaction from the Triple H side. As regards the management team, people like Triple H, William Regal, I'm told that the mood is best described as very nervous. People are unsure what to expect from Vince McMahon in this particular instance. He has the power over them that they were not expecting, and as best I can tell, we should not feel completely confident in the management team to not bow to Vince McMahon over the years. He has had conversations with Kevin Dunn, from what I've heard. And there are others involved in that one as well. Ashley Watson says hello. Hello, Ashley. Timothy Bella says, hey, Tom, love the shows, man. Thank you, Timothy. Dad says, Big Tom, who's next in line for the tag championships? That'll be Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. Leisha Miller says, hi, Tom, and hello, everyone. Hello, Leisha, how you doing? Brad says, any updates about the sign of any potential free agents heading into the Royal Rumble? Free agent signings at the moment seem to have paused. Anyone who will be appearing shortly has already been signed. There is a concern as regards the possibility of budget cuts, and Nick Khan is starting to tighten the purse strings anyway, even before Vince McMahon arrived. Timothy says hello everyone as well. Simon says, any Bayley Raw Women's Championship news? Nope, none at all. Martin says, hello Sir Tom of Colohue, hope you're doing good. Doing well, thank you Martin, appreciate the gloriful words right there. Brad says, please hit the like button, the more likes the better, which is very, very true, and I appreciate that while I was having technical difficulties, you guys were encouraging people to like, follow, and etc. 28 likes so far, 70 viewers, please remember to give that thumbs up. Martin says, any news on the reported interest in Tama Tonga? Not that I've heard, but it sure sounds like everyone is of interest to the WWE all of a sudden. Razar says, hi Tom, it's my 1 year anniversary of finding your channel. First saw it around Royal Rumble time last year. Congratulations, Razar. Great to see you. Thank you for choosing so long ago to dedicate to this channel and hit that subscribe. I very much appreciate it. Also, it is currently today my 15-year anniversary of the first time I was ever paid for a piece of writing. So it's a very special day for me as well. Congratulations to you. Christoph says, hi Tom. Hi Christoph. Simon says, Liv Tegan faced Damage Control for the women's tag team titles at the weekend. There will be a lot of different women's tag team matches happening shortly. Thomas Phipps says, hello Tom. Hello sir. John Gillis says, Vince is under SEC investigation according to John Alba. This would block him now from getting creative back until the SEC clears him. He can still sell the company, however that's it, via John Alba. Thank you for sourcing, I appreciate that. That is true. However, the bylaws have now been changed, and Vince is the one who changed them. There is nothing preventing Vince McMahon from changing the bylaws again and putting himself into creative. So yes, under the current circumstances, the SEC investigation does hamstring him. However, that means absolutely nothing if Vince McMahon chooses to basically not listen. Hello Marcel, Harry, Sai, welcome everyone. Venom, thank you. There's a lot there about bugs and issues. Thank you everyone for the information there and helping me through it. Venom says, oh, he said something. Where was he? He's here somewhere. Says, I hope CM Punk being in the picture in the video means he's coming back. In fact, it means the exact opposite. I've been asked a question via DMs about CM Punk potentially returning to the Royal Rumble, and I've got one very simple thing to say. It is not happening. Triple H has no interest in a return for CM Punk. Vince McMahon is a maybe. He might be interested, but that would be a massive involvement from Vince McMahon, who has promised not to get involved. He's much more interested in CM Punk than Triple H is. Stranger things have happened. I don't see it. Mike Rogers, welcome. Says, question, is Vince being sued or currently on trial or what? How does he feel comfortable enough to pull this move right now? Neither. There is no lawsuit. There is no police investigation. Nothing is actually happening against Vince McMahon at this point in time. There was an internal investigation by the board. The head of that investigation has resigned with the return of Vince McMahon. So if there was an investigation still ongoing, not anymore, it's not. Not anymore. Stephen Harris, welcome, says Vince McMahon, get back, and WWE head of creative, back to where we was, rematch on being that 24. No, once again, he's not in charge of creative at this point in time. Jermaine, welcome. King of Cobra says, hey Tom, how's it going? Going very, very well, thank you. Cobras, Omega is here saying, Tom. Hello again. Hopefully you can see me one more time. This is a dumpster fire of a stream, isn't it? I'm pretty sure there are now several Tom Colohue live stream unlisted just popping up all over the place. Sorry guys, I don't understand what's happening. I'm trying. I promise you I'm trying. But yeah, it's not really going my way at the moment. It's not really going my way. Let's keep trying, shall we? Let's keep trying. Sean says, hello, Tom. Michael says, hi, Tom. Welcome. Sean says, PWInsider reported that Seth Rollins' injury is a part of the storyline with Austin Theory. It is. Seth Rollins, pardon me, will be back in time for the Royal Rumble. He's just, injured. Spider Boss, I don't know the length of Mercedes' deal with New Japan. Bailey says, Vince always had full control, to be fair, based on stock ownership, which is true, and he was able to exercise that. Sean says, Vince could bump Stephanie and Nick and become CEO again. If he wanted to, yes. Michael says, if some people are so nervous, they can always leave. WWE is not the only company in the world, which is very, very true. Michael says, according to Fightful Select, Chelsea Green signed and is waiting on creative plans. Okay. Not sure what those creative plans will be. After all, if you're waiting, there's a hell of a lot more people to wait for as well. Spider-Boss says, could we see any surprise in the Women's Royal Rumble? Yes. Bailey says Sasha is a true free agent. When she wants to return, she'll do it. If not, she won't. Very few wrestlers have such control over their careers like this, which is something neither Vince nor Tony Khan want others to have, this freedom in the future, which is not unfair either. Bailey says the Wall Street Journal definitely has an inside source. Would not be surprised to see more news on Vince coming from that paper. I can state with absolute clarity, more is coming. And I'm saying it now. And I'm saying it proud. More is coming as regards Vince McMahon. There will be more reports over the next few weeks. There's a lot more information coming. And Spider-Boss says, does Cody return before the Rumble? Yes, he kind of already has. Harry says, is R-Truth coming back soon? Still injured. They don't really have anything for him at the moment. Dimitar says, any idea what Bailey is doing at WrestleMania? I really hope it's a match versus Becky. I also really hope it's a match against Becky, but I can't really say it with confidence. Bailey's been up and down, and there are some changes being made. Bear Hudson says, hi Tom, do you think Triple H will still be able to sign free agent wrestlers on the indies? He will still be able to. Vince McMahon has not stuck his oar in yet, but the purse strings are being tightened, so it's getting a little bit harder. Thankfully, they are paying them less at the... Do you remember that really large spider I spoke about on Friday? There it goes. Found it. Just caught sight of it there. As I say, the body's quite large. You can actually see it on a camera on a wall behind me. Legs though make it look bigger. You can see the little knuckles and all. It's real creepy. Anyway, Venom says, oh, he's got to come back and ruin everything. When is he going to get the hint WWE is better without him and nobody wants him there? Well, I wouldn't say that nobody wants him there because he is, after all, there. At the very least, he wants himself there. Danny says, Vince is always the man. Disagree. Christoph says, does everybody have sound? Because I don't. Hopefully everybody does. Sai says, even the McMahons don't trust the McMahons. What a statement. Fact. I don't need to kill Ed. I'm fine. I'm not nervous about spiders. And Michael says, wasn't there supposed to be a Real Sports and Brian Gumbel special on the WWE? Not that I've personally heard. I don't really know what you're talking about there. Noob Welcome says, hello Tom. How you doing? Doing well, apart from the constant technical issues. Richard Smith says, does Stephanie and Nick even have sort of power? Yes, they are co-CEOs. Dominic Press says, are you doing a Raw watch party? Nope. Venom says, wish Triple H would pedigree Vince into a coma. That seems a bit unnecessary. Christoph says, hi Tom. Latest Intercontinental podcast with one of the best. You and Nick are still my dream team. Thank you, Christoph. We worked really hard on that one and we're very, very proud of it. It's certainly, I feel, one of the best shows that I've made. And that includes anything with Nick. Wrestler Fan says, will Edge appear tonight? No idea as to when Edge is going to appear, but he will be appearing soon. His dates have refreshed. He will be in the Royal Rumble. Simon says, any news on Liv? None whatsoever. She will be in the Rumble. We are going to see her in more tag team matches. That's the plan. Icon says, what match for Ronda at Mania? Tag team match. She'll be in a tag team championship match alongside Shayna Baszler. Christoph says, happy anniversary. Thank you, Christoph. Venom says, I think Roman loses the WWE title this year, but do you think he will lose the Universal title? And if so, who to? Yes, Sammy. Eric says, sorry I'm late, Tom. How are you today? Doing okay. Still a lot of technical issues, but we're trying to work our way through them. Gotcha, Jonathan. Thank you for clarifying. I was wondering. Cam says, hi, Tom. Hello, Cam. How you doing? Eric says, I see Mustafa and Sammy start jobbing again. He's in control again. Sami Zayn will not start jobbing. And it's gone. It's gone. It's full on vanished. I cannot see it anywhere. It lives here now. So yeah, I don't think Sammy's going to be jobbing. After all, Vince McMahon wrote the Sami Zayn storyline. Richard Smith said, does Triple H have interest in Jay White? Everybody has interest in Jay White. Everybody has interest in Jay White, and for good reason. Noob says, seems like there's no update on Asuka's return other than seeing her on the poster for the Royal Rumble. Yep. There is no update on Asuka's return. Joey says, hi, Tom just joined. What did I miss? We've talked CM Punk, we've talked Sasha in the Rumble, we've talked Vince's veto power, Triple H, and how he feels about the whole thing. More to come. He's talking about the Ripley Lynch dynamic for favourite for the Rumble, Cody Rhodes' return, and a little bit on Uncle Howdy and Alexa Bliss. Cam says, just have to confirm something from Twitter with you. It was reported that Nia Jax was contacted, but she declined. Also, Summer Cameron and Michelle McCool were all contacted for the Rumble. Any truth? No. Nia Jax has not been contacted for a WWE return. She has not been contacted for a WWE return. As regards Michelle McCool, she has contacted them. John Gillis says, how does this change FTR and what they may do? It doesn't, to my knowledge, yet. They're just very unhappy where they are, and they've started to realise that where they were wasn't so bad. Simon said, is CM Punk returned to AEW? Nope. Will says, as far as you know, has Triple H had talks with Vince? Pretty much constantly, yes. They are, after all, related by marriage. Venom says, Vince is no longer being investigated. To my knowledge, that is not the case. To my knowledge, the investigation has completely ended and ended a couple of months ago. So if there is any other investigation, it's not something we're aware of. John Gillis says, Tessa Blanchard, according to Zero News, is someone WWE want, but the nuclear heat hurts her. What do you see happening? Well, to my knowledge, the WWE has no interest in Tessa Blanchard whatsoever. There are certain people within WWE who are confident that the WWE should reach out to Tessa Blanchard. The WWE have not done so. Simon says, Seth Rollins, Mania 39 opponent. Difficult to track. Honestly, Austin Theory could well be there for me. Could work for me. Thank you, Ed, for clarifying everything going on there and helping me out. Justin says, even on YouTube, I can't get away from Bray Wyatt blackouts. Nightmare. That's how you play it. That right there. Thank you, Justin. Steve Englund says, was that a demo for the Pitch Black match? You guys are really funny. We are currently with 90 viewers and 37 likes. Please remember that thumbs up. Seriously, now more than ever after the technical issues I've had, I could really use it, please help. Spider-Boss says, I wonder why fans speculate Mercedes appearing on Dynamite, because they want to see more Mercedes and they want Dynamite to be successful. Wiggly says, Tom, please explain to me, if Vince sells up, does that mean he's no longer the owner of the WWE? I heard he would still be a majority shareholder, but how could that work if he's selling the company? He would still be a majority shareholder if he doesn't sell all of the company. He can sell as much of the company as he chooses to. He can essentially sell half of his shares and still have 40% of the shares and still be the most powerful voting bloc. He could sell 30% of his shares and still be a 51% voting bloc unto himself. He's in charge of the sale. He can sell as much as he wants. More than likely right now, though, from what I can tell and from the conversations I've had, Vince is looking for an out and a payday. He wants to take his money and he wants to go and do something else with it. He's done with the WWE. By the sounds of it, he's selling the whole thing. Spider-Boss says, as much as it looks good, Mercedes money appearing on Dynamite, I don't think it's a good call. Have Jamie Hayter losing in the tag team match on Wednesday. Wiggly says, is there going to be legal proceedings against Vince? Impossible to say. Wiggly says, what is his percentage of shares in WWE? It is 81% at current. Ed says, Vince is trying to ruin Tom's stream. He's trying to shut me down. Spoiler warnings, getting shut down, guys. Thank you, Daz. Billy says, hello. Hi, Billy. If Ted Turner bought WWE, does that make him the winner of the Monday Night War? No, Vince McMahon would never sell to Ted Turner. Joey says, if Vince wanted to take over full control again, would he have to fire Triple H and Nick Khan? It depends what you mean by full control. He has full control already. He has 81% of all voting, so he's also the executive. He basically has full control anyway. Simon said, is Seth Rollins going to be on WWE Raw tonight? No idea. Joey says, apparently all of the big streaming companies, like Amazon, Netflix and Comcast, are all interested in buying out WWE. Do you expect them to make a big offer? No, I expect them to make an offer, and I expect Fox to make a big offer. John Gillis says, according to Zero News, tomorrow's NXT is being treated as a pay-per-view. Have you heard anything? No, much like most of what's been brought here from Zero, I've heard either nothing or the exact opposite. Razar says, everyone is talking about Vince being head of creative, but can he just invent a new role for himself involved in creative if he wanted? Yeah. I don't think I could have been more clear on this one. He can do whatever. He has 81% of the voting, and he's changed the bylaws so that he can stick his oar in whenever he so chooses. Vince is invincible. That's it. That's it. Yes, Wiggly, spot on. Hector says, I don't want to spoil your Uncle Howdy news, but would it have anything to do with the PWInsider report on the subject? It may well do. Michael says, can this be the return of Bad Vince? It could be. This seems like the right time. The right time for a Bad Vince. Spider-Boss, once again, I have no idea how long the deal for Mercedes is in New Japan. I'm not privy to New Japan contracts, okay? Drop it. Eric says, Eric Rowan's spider. I kind of says, run. The spider draws. I have no idea where it even is now. Maybe it's in my brain. Maybe while I wasn't looking, it just crawled up my nose. Did you guys see anything? Christoph says, let Spider Boss take care of the spider. That's fair. That's fair. That's fair. You're right, Jordan, mate. Joey says, PWInsider reported that Bo Dallas is backstage at Raw tonight. Is this confirmation that Bo is playing Uncle Howdy? No, it is not confirmation of that fact. However, if you've been watching the SmackDown watch parties, I've already discussed the fact that Bo Dallas has been playing Uncle Howdy. With the current situation of Uncle Howdy is the dark side. He is the negative, whereas the positive is Uncle Harper, who we haven't really seen much of yet. Uncle Howdy has been attacking and berating Bray Wyatt physically, mentally, verbally for a long time. My suspicion is that tonight we see Uncle Howdy formally recruiting Alexa Bliss. I think Alexa Bliss is not only going dark, but she's going anti-Wyatt. However, this creates some confusion. This all obviously leads back to the WrestleMania match against Randy Orton, where Alexa Bliss turned on Bray. But she didn't turn on Bray, because Bray Wyatt and The Fiend were supposed to be two separate people. It's a very confusing situation at this point, but that is what I personally believe. Bo Dallas has been backstage at a number of Raw and SmackDowns, first reported right here, by the way, for anyone who wasn't aware, and he has been playing the part of Uncle Howdy. Richard Smith says, I hope this news about Vincent is coming. I really hope this is the end of Vince and the WWE. Simon says, could we see Liv versus Charlotte feud this year for the SmackDown Women's Title Championship? We have someone impersonating Vince McMahon in the chat, and he's not happy. Bless. Ed says, everybody, Tom, you should know better than to say that with me in the chat. True. Venom says, Sammy to dethrone the Usos and Roman, he's lucky if that happens. Didn't say that was going to happen. Didn't say that was going to happen. That's just what I personally think. The person impersonating Vince is just on a rampage. Oh, Eric is begging not to bury Liv. Oh. Venom says, please no, keep Nia Jax away. Can't be trusted not to injure her opponents. Dom says, don't forget to hit the like button. We have 2 words for you. What's up? Welcome, Dom. We have 103 viewers right now and only the 40 likes. Please do remember to hit that thumbs up. And if you've not done so yet, please remember also to subscribe. Every subscription goes a long way and means you get notifications every time we go live. We've gained another subscriber during the show, which is surprising considering the technical issues that we've had. Simon says, New Japan strong. USA's rebranding after the next 2 sets of tapings, said the New Japan president today. I like seeing how invested you're getting in this, Simon. New Japan's good stuff. Venom says, who do you think are the next tag champs? NXT tag champs? No idea. Don't really follow NXT. Will says, outside of Kenny and the Bucks, do you know how the AEW locker room feel about Punk? Most of them do not like him. I've reported it previously. Sean Island says, I would love to see Rollins versus Logan Paul. That would actually make a lot of sense. That would make a lot of sense, but who knows? Maybe it'll be Rollins versus Steve Austin. We're getting a lot of rumours there, aren't we? John Gillis says, do you think Braun beats Gunter Friday? Hell no. Venom says, who do you think walks out as NXT champ, Bron Breakker or Grayson Waller? Bron Breakker. Bron Breakker. Horsey, welcome, says, good evening, Tom. Hope you're well. Have I missed much? You've missed a whole load of technical issues, but thankfully we're back on track now. And at the end, we've actually had quite a few views. A lot of them probably refreshes, though, while you're all trying to refresh and get the page working. Christoph says, Alexa losing power in her locker room, in her hotel room. Tom streaming going blackout. Uncle Howdy is really everywhere. Uncle Howdy is creeping in. If anything, you can say it's the Wire family, because who was it who mentioned Eric Rowan Spider? Hector says, Tom, what are your thoughts on the Jay White versus Hikuleo in a loser leaves Japan match, and how do you see this playing out? I'm not sure, but I don't think Jay White's losing. I really don't. Spider-Boss says, Alexa versus Bianca reminded me of a scene from a scary movie. Yeah. And says, I think the bloodline will turn on Sammy at some point before Mania, which is, I believe, what 90% of the wrestling viewing population believe as well. Michael says, Omega versus Ospreay was so good, I watched it over the weekend. Michael, are you a regular New Japan viewer? Or was it your first time and you just really enjoyed it? Eddie, I don't know who you're talking about, but nobody's bought AEW. Horsey says, is it true he may make the company private? It's not something that he's personally interested in at this point in time. Vince does not want to make the company private, but if he believes it will increase the chances of a good sale, he will consider it. Cam says, what surprises can we expect in the Women's Rumble? NXT, Legends, Alumni? Yes. Venom says, does Shane have any shares in WWE? Not as many as he used to. I believe he still has some, but at this point, he's sold most of them off, as has, to be fair, Stephanie and Triple H. They both sold quite a lot before the current incarnation started. Simon says, do you see NBC Universal bidding for the WWE? Yes, I do. They have been contacted already. Marcel says, I liked 2 times, 1 time on computer, 1 time on phone. I always look forward to these shows for the good and reliable news and fun in this stream and chat. Marcel, please be aware that if you're on the same account for your PC and your phone, then what you've done is you've liked and you've taken the like back again. But I appreciate it regardless. Joey says, it honestly disgusts me that some fans want Vince back. Do they really want people to lose their jobs again? There is a definite risk at this point in time that Vince will institute more budget cuts. I don't like it, but I have to say, it's likely. John Gillis says, thank you for doing these videos Monday and Friday. Discovered them a few weeks ago and they're a breath of fresh air. Thank you, John. Appreciate that. I do like that quite often people who do discover these videos just sort of randomly not only stick around, but they become very, very valued members of the community here. They comment on videos they like, that they're here chatting away like yourself. And I always really appreciate everyone who just gives me the time of day. My success with this channel is entirely built on all of you giving me a chance. And come Friday, I suspect we may well finally hit that 2,000, because we're currently on 1,977, which means we just need 23 more. And lately, during SmackDowns, we've been getting the 20s. Always a good news. Michael says, I was a regular New Japan viewer until AEW started, but I stopped because it was too much wrestling. I like both Omega and Ospreay. To be fair, Michael, you'll likely get to see that match again, but in AEW. Pardon me. Steve Englund says, has Raw been good lately? No Monday Night Football means I guess I can put on Raw while playing Pokemon. From what I can tell, people have been quite enjoying it. I think SmackDown historically has been the better show, but recently Raw has overtaken it, and anything involving Seth Rollins seems to be doing very, very well. Venom says, bit confused as to why Johnny wasn't on Raw last week. Most people won't be on every single week. Joey says, who was playing the other version of Uncle Howdy? That person looked different than the one we saw 2 weeks ago. Who says that's Howdy? Simon says, Tom, do you think Britt Baker being compared to AEW's version of Charlotte Flair by always being on top is a fair comparison? No, I do believe that you shouldn't compare people to other people just because there are other people that exist. Britt Baker and Charlotte Flair are nothing close to the same. Cam says, I'm surprised they didn't do the storyline where Uncle Howdy or Bray turned Nikki Cross back to crazy to get back at Alexa. There is still time for that. Brad Becker says, Vince is the worst and is a bad migraine. Justin says, Lord, at least don't give me 2021 Alexa Bliss. My God, it's awful. Steve says, did you watch Wrestle Kingdom? I got up at 3 a.m. local time to catch it before work, and I'm very happy I did. I did watch Wrestle Kingdom. I got up at 6 o'clock, so a little bit better than the 3 o'clock that you did. But yeah, I watched it start to finish and had a great time. Billy says, biggest Vince heel move would be him winning the Rumble and beating Reigns. Yeah. Biggest heel move, I think, would be exactly what he threatened to do, where he basically takes it off TV entirely. Venom says, my prediction is Carmelo Hayes is the one to beat Breaker. Do you think this happens? Maybe. It's very hard to predict Bron Breakker at the minute. I'm not a regular NXT viewer. Simon says, could you see JY or Coolio popping up in the Royal Rumble? Nope. Eric says, thoughts on Mercedes versus Kyrie? It will be great fun. Dad says, Tom, what was your favourite Rock match? The ladder match between The Rock and Triple H at SummerSlam 1998. Christoph says, not much announced for Raw tonight. SmackDown was really poor, star power lacking in my opinion. Do you think Vince's return could have impacted the writing of the show somehow? Nope, not in the slightest. They just didn't have the people. Joey says, is Saudi Arabia going to make a big plan to buy out WWE? They are already putting it together. Venom says, would Triple H and Steph buy the WWE? I don't believe they have $6 billion in order to make that happen. Custom says, when WWE is sold, do you think the buy will bring back the WCW or ECW brands? Nope. Brad says, I suggest you to a lot of my friends because I want you to succeed. And I appreciate that, Brad. Every little does help, and every recommendation really does make a big impact. A lot of people are here because they were recommended this show by other people, and it makes a big difference, and I'm always very grateful for it. Venom, yes, after the Rumble, we will do a Raw watch party, and not a moment before. Tommy B says, college football championship game tonight. That will be going against Raw. Raw may struggle with that in mind then. And Christoph says, to be honest, there are some talents WWE could easily get rid of without impacting the roster, such as Drew Gulak, Omos, or the Lotharios. They could, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they want to. Key Sean. I don't want to key you personally, but Sean, welcome to the YouTube channel. Thank you for subscribing. You'll get a notification every time we go live with our Monday and Friday spoiler warning shows and with our SmackDown watch parties and pay-per-view watch parties as well. We also do quite a lot of news, breaking news via shorts, so you may want to check those out too. Welcome to the show. Hector says, Tom, what are your thoughts on Conrad Thompson's comments about Nick Khan being hired from the beginning to orchestrate, a sale of WWE, and the payout is more than a year of AEW's TV contract? Well, he's getting paid a lot, but I can't necessarily sit here and say about a payout. What I will say is that Nick Khan, yes, he was hired to sell the WWE. And here we are. Nick Khan was always Vince's retirement plan. And to be fair, he literally fired Wilson and Barrios to make room for Nick Khan and then brought them back. Crazy. Wiggly says, what's the end game of all this wire stuff? Great question. Hell if anybody knows. Literally nobody has a clue. The plan is for years of this stuff. Years. Spider-Boss says, Dark Alexa was fun. I still remember when Dark Alexa called Charlotte a self-absorbed narcissistic bee on Raw. Michael says, first match booked if Saudi buys the WWE, Andre versus the Ultimate Warrior. I was going to say, but there, and then I realised what you're actually saying after the whole Yokozuna thing. Because there was a Yokozuna thing. Dominic says, hi Tommy, you're covering Raw tonight? Nope, I'll be asleep. Will says, how does Vince feel about Triple H's booking and the way he's running the shows? To my knowledge, Vince has actually not been paying that much attention to it. He's largely left Triple H to his own devices, and from what I can tell, while he's made some suggestions and ideas for WrestleMania and matches and storylines, most of them have just gone ignored. Icon says, who's the biggest female draw for 2022? Ronda Rousey, no question. Marcel says, I'm going to watch the rest of the stream later, going to bed now. Tomorrow at 5 a.m. start work. Thank you very much, Marcel. Have a great night, have a great sleep, and we'll see you soon. Well, fair enough, Justin, but unfortunately, it's not about giving you the answer you want. I know quite a lot of wrestling content creators who will just try and... Their opinion will be based entirely on what they think their audience wants to hear. I'm not that guy. And you guys know I'm not that guy, and I think you're here because I'm not that guy. Simon says, do you think Cora Jade becomes #1 contender in the NXT Women's Battle Royal tomorrow night for Roxanne Perez's championship? Possibly, but I don't want it, because ultimately that's not creating new opportunities. Cora Jade has had the shot, and as far as I'm concerned, they need a bit of distance now. Sean says, do you believe Will Ospreay will ever go to the WWE? There has been interest from the WWE. There has been some. Now, he is very much tied down under contract to the WWE. I would love it if at some point maybe he popped up in a Royal Rumble, was eliminated by Seth, and then took on Seth Rollins at the Royal Rumble. Not at WrestleMania. That would be a dream match for me, and I think that'd be a dream match for a lot of people, and I think that would be an incredible match. I don't see it happening, though. Will Ospreay, to my knowledge, is incredibly happy in New Japan and has no real plan of changing at this point in time. However, he's still a young man, he still has his whole career ahead of him, and I'm very excited for what he does next. David says, Tom, if Saudi Arabia buys WWE, will you still watch and cover it? Probably not. That would probably be the end of the channel. I don't support the Saudi Arabia shows that they have now, but there's no question that there's a lot of money in Saudi Arabia, and they would definitely be able to afford it. I don't want it, Vince probably does. Mick says, hi Tom, where are you located? I'm in Blackpool, England. Blackpool, England, and the weather is terrible, and that's probably why I'm having so many technical issues. Steve Emblem says, where's Edge? Wasn't that rumoured Hell in a Cell for the Rumble? Might be time to build that up. That's been rumoured. Certainly not something I've mentioned much myself. But Edge's contracted dates have rolled over. He does have a full year of dates left, and we are going to be seeing him at some point soon. No question. George Roberts, thank you for coming after my looks when you have no face, no icon, and you're literally hidden behind a screen. Bless you so much, you literal coward. Ah, bless you. Bye-bye. You can talk into the void. Bless you. Lil Fettuccine says, what's happening with Vince? He back, and he can do whatever the hell he wants, basically. Spider-Boss says, if Saudi buys WWE, watch Logan Paul winning gold on WWE. They would not have that sort of booking power, I'm not sure. Well, depends how much they want, I guess. Get to Tables, welcome. Says, does Vince realise the huge backlash that will happen if he took over creative with the fans and the roster? Yes, he just doesn't care. It's Vince McMahon, and I think historically that's always been the case. He knows, just don't care. Spider-Boss says, almost 3 years since the alliance of Roman and Paul Heyman, they truly changed the game in WWE with a tribal chief character. 2.5, mate. I don't think that's almost 3. Also says, how many Dominic Mysterio jail vignettes could we see now? Hopefully lots, because I really enjoyed them. Hector says, something to keep in mind when it comes to the potential sale of WWE is that Comcast recently agreed to sell its remaining stakes in Hulu to Disney for roughly $6 billion. So they definitely have some extra cash laying around. Honestly, I do think Comcast will be the front runner. That said, if all Vince wants is money, Saudi Arabia is going to be the one. Wiggly says, I haven't been to Blackpool since 2006. Miss going there with my dad and the rides and stuff. Never been a rides guy, but still not a bad place. By all means, come down and visit at some point and let me know when you do. We'll have a beer. Simon says, do you think if Saudi Arabia buys the WWE, it will drive viewers away, like the Qatar World Cup human rights controversies did? The Qatar World Cup human rights controversies did not drive viewers away. The Qatar World Cup was watched by millions upon millions of people around the world. Viewers were not driven away. Viewers didn't care. Viewers didn't care. It's that simple. And that will be the case for the WWE under Saudi Arabia as well. A lot of people will say they care. They won't care. They won't care. If it's not immediately in people's face, by and large, they will just ignore it and pretend it doesn't happen. For example, here in the UK, we sell weapons which Saudi Arabia use to murder thousands of people. Our government sells those weapons. And people still elect them because, well, they're not bombing us, are they? We live in a horrible world. Joey says, imagine if Saudi buys it out, we'll see The Undertaker and Goldberg wrestling every year. They didn't exactly like the last one. Little Fettuccine says, will we ever see Jake Paul in the WWE? We have. He was at the last Saudi Arabia show. I reported it a week before. Jake Paul was there. Callie says, evening, Tom. Evening, Callie. Will says, with Vince being back, will he stop the NXT Japan, NXT Europe and NXT Mexico plans? No, he is currently in a position that does not have that sort of power. He's very clearly promised to everyone involved, I'm back to sell the company and nothing more. So, if that's the case, he will not be involved in any of the NXT, of the intercontinentalization for NXT. Simon says, is Meiko Satomura going to be involved in NXT Europe? The plan is yes. Venom says, that's where I go when I go on holiday. We'll have to come meet you when I'm next down there. Cool, we could have a meetup. Callie says, regular holiday destination, love Blackpool. Guys, we could have ourselves a meetup. Sean says, why do you believe Dax Harwood is getting so much heat speaking his truths? Because people have decided that they don't like what he's saying. Ultimately, you're allowed to have an opinion as long as it agrees, as long as other people agree with it. If other people agree with your opinion, then you're right. Then you're right. I actually wasn't looking for that word, Ed. There is some connotations to that one. Simon says, Mercedes being trained at no facility. Yes, she is. Eric says, Tom, what do you think about a potential Naomi return and winning the Rumble? So, I actually said this one in a response, I believe, to Michael earlier on the YouTube comments. I really feel for Naomi because chances are that she will be returning at the Royal Rumble. And what will happen is people will chant Sasha. Sasha, Sasha, Sasha. And Sasha won't be there. We're not betting on a Sasha Banks return. A Sasha Banks return is incredibly unlikely. But Naomi will return and have people chanting the name Sasha. So, I feel for her. She ain't going to win the Rumble. John Gillis says, there's a Hell in a Cell match between Edge and Balor no longer scheduled for the Rumble. To my knowledge, it has not at any point been scheduled for the Rumble. At any point. I'm not aware the match has ever been scheduled for the Rumble. So saying that it's no longer scheduled, not quite accurate for what we're seeing. If it's never been scheduled, it can't be unscheduled. Jay says, I won't watch it if it's sold to Saudi Arabia. That's where I am as well. Mr. Stumble says, what do you think it sells for? A whole bucket load of money. At the minute, they're looking for about 6 billion plus. That's the price at the moment that they're asking for. Spider-Boss says, I like to watch Dominic Mysterio's vignettes and cut promos because most of the time since Dominic joined Judgment Day, Rhea did all the talking. Yes, but at the same time, Dominic is really worth the investment. He's really making an impact here. Wiggly says, why are we even surprised Vince would sell to Saudi? He put Trump in his Hall of Fame. Yes, but at that time, most people actually still liked Donald Trump, if you can believe it. Michael says Vince would rather sell the company to the Saudi Arabian government than hand it over to his daughter. That's so Vince. Yep, that's him. Hector says, I think a sale of WWE could bring together a more stable human resources structure. All the stuff that happened under Vince wouldn't even ever fly under a more professional company environment. So if the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and their government bought it, you think it would be more professional, do you? Maybe Spider Boss, but there's only ever very briefly been a Sasha chant. Only very briefly. Harry says, are Kane and Undertaker returning to WWE soon? No. Dominic says, do you see Roman retiring after WrestleMania? No. Simon says, if Saudi Arabia or whoever buys a company, will they keep the same management team of Triple H, Nick Khan, Stephanie in charge? That's entirely up to them. It depends who buys it, what they stand for, and what they want to do. There is literally no possible way of me answering that question. Oh, Eric, there is absolutely no possibility that Ospreay will go to NXT Europe. Ospreay is not an NXT wrestler. That is not happening under any circumstances. Fort Miner says, any surprises you want to see in both of the Rumble matches? I'd like a surprise winner. And here's the thing. For the longest time now, the favourites for the Royal Rumble have been Becky Lynch and Cody Rhodes. Recently, after the report came out that Rhea Ripley would be facing Ronda Rousey for the SmackDown Women's Championship at WrestleMania, Rhea Ripley started getting a lot of money behind her name. So people were betting a whole lot of money that it would be Rhea Ripley, which was especially hilarious because right after that, Ronda Rousey lost the championship and doesn't look like she's going into WrestleMania as champion. So Rhea Ripley less likely to win on that basis. In fact, if anything, Becky Lynch is now more likely to win and then take on Charlotte by coming to SmackDown, and then Seth would follow shortly after in the draft. So a lot of money has been put on Rhea Ripley, but Becky Lynch is still up there as the favourite. The money on Rhea Ripley will start to drop based on the fact that Charlotte is now champion. Becky Lynch is still the favourite for the Royal Rumble. As regards Cody Rhodes, he is on the way back, and there is an intention behind what they are doing. There will be surprises in the Rumble that we're not expecting, and Cody Rhodes being mentioned ahead of time is intentional. They are trying to tell you, don't look over here, look over there. This is the same way that in 2021, Edge returned for a second time at a Royal Rumble. They announced ahead of time that he would be in the Rumble, and a lot of people thought, oh, well, he's obviously not winning, and then he won. That is what they are doing right now with Cody Rhodes. They are trying to sow discourse and discord and suggest that maybe it's not Cody's time, but it's Cody's time. Joey says, JP Morgan was hired to help with the sale. When do you expect the sale talks to undergo? There has already been some contact with some big companies to basically reach out and say, who's actually interested here? Nothing formal has started. JP Morgan is still putting the facts and figures together, but they do have a feel as to who might be interested in picking up the company, which is why lists are already out there as to who might be interested. Mr. Stumble says, can Elon Musk buy WWE and run it like Twitter, book matches with Twitter polls? He is rich enough to do so, but depending on how Twitter goes at the moment, maybe not for long. Venom says, do you think Sasha returns this year? She's returning in February to New Japan. Keyshawn says, I hope Naomi comes back and wins the Rumble. Eric says, I want to see Ray versus Dom in a Judgment Day implodes if Ray wins. If Dom wins, Ray has to retire. Neither of those are going to happen, but I do still think you're going to get Dom versus Ray at WrestleMania. Harry says, do you think Chavo Guerrero could come back to WWE soon? He absolutely could, backstage and do some producing. Megan says, is there a best possible outcome for the sale of WWE? So far, everything just seemed quite miserable and awful. Also, hi everyone, hope you're all doing well. Hi Megan, hope you're doing well as well. Great to see you. Looking forward to your new streaming schedule. Excited for it. As regards the best possible outcome, I do think the current administration buying would be the best possible outcome and would keep things as they are. However, there's not necessarily a massive downside to a company like Comcast picking it up, because to my knowledge, Comcast would keep the same structure that it has at the moment and essentially just take the money. They would just be the financiers and the taskmasters and let it roll from there. There are other companies that would do that and other companies that wouldn't do that. I can't name any names. Saudi Arabia can't name any names from that one though. Ricky, welcome to the show. Thank you very much for subscribing on the YouTube side. You will get a notification every time we go live with both the Monday and Friday spoiler warning news shows, which you're watching right now, as well as our SmackDown and pay-per-view watch parties. Thank you, Ricky. We are now on 1,980 subscribers, 20 more to 2,000. If you've not done so yet, please do consider hitting that subscribe button. Spider-Boss says, do you see Samoa Joe returning to WWE? Eventually, yes. He would be very happy to work under Triple H again. I always wonder why WWE decided to pull the trigger on Bianca. Could have done that with Mercedes or Naomi, but they never did. Because they believe they already had done with Mercedes on Naomi, Bianca was supposed to be surpassing them, and then they would claw it back afterwards, but they're not still there. Go says, is the draft still tentatively planned for the weeks following WrestleMania, or is it more likely to happen later in the year? It is still planned at the moment for almost right after WrestleMania. They'll have themselves a draft. That could be when the championships are split up, but I do think there are some pretty obvious choices for who's going to swap sides. Becky and Seth look like there's a possibility there. Bobby Lashley, for me, needs to move to SmackDown now. That would be the move I make. Wiggly says, I find it strange saying this, but I miss the anonymous Raw GM. You wash your mouth out, sir. You wash your mouth out. And Spider-Boss says, I'd love to see Chavo working with Dominic. He does, but he doesn't do it as a WWE employee. Joey says, Fightful reported WWE's interested in Tama Tonga. Is Triple H trying to sign all the New Japan wrestlers? No, but according to reports, yes. King of Cobra says, if Ospreay ever goes to the Fed, I'd love to see him as the first English-born WWE champion. They'd be stupid to not make him. I agree. Ospreay versus Cody, Ospreay versus Seth, Ospreay versus Roman. It makes itself. That's before you even consider things like Ospreay versus Styles. There are so many good options there. Venom says, does that mean a Charlotte heel turn again? Potentially, yes. Potentially. Which, by the way, is why Rhea Ripley probably does make a bit more sense. Noob says, question is, who's going to face Bianca Belair at WrestleMania 39? Logically, it can't be Charlotte if Charlotte's going to be a face long term. Simon says, do you see Liv and Seth Rollins being the Iron Man, Iron Woman in this year's Rumble matches? Anyone could be in those roles. Anyone. Probably not Liv Morgan. She's not considered a ring general of the women's division. Harry says, do you think Microsoft might buy WWE? No. Dad says, will Cena be in the Rumble? I think that's a possibility, and a distinct possibility at that. Cena has shown up recently, but there is a last hurrah to come. There are reports of Cena versus Logan Paul. I'm confident Logan Paul's going to be in the Royal Rumble. I'll be putting Cena in there because you have to start the storylines towards WrestleMania at some point. The Royal Rumble is a good time to do so. Chris Leclerc says, I'm pulling for Bayley to win the Royal Rumble. That I'm increasingly believing is a possibility. Bayley wins, Damage Control go to SmackDown, Bayley beats Charlotte for the championship at WrestleMania. I would take that in a heartbeat. Sean says, what do you believe is the biggest missed opportunity in wrestling history? See, I like the idea of Samoa Joe beating Brock Lesnar at Great Balls of Fire. But as regards wrestling history, you look at Ric Flair versus Hulk Hogan, you look at Undertaker versus Sting. There's a lot of people that potentially, if they had pulled a trigger on, great things would have happened. I look at Ken Shamrock. I look at Owen Hart. But we are where we are. Ricky says, do you see them keeping Triple H if Vince sells the company? Depends entirely on who buys it. Different companies have very different ideas as to how to run a wrestling company. So it depends who buys it. Venom says, what do you think is more likely? Cena breaking Ric Flair's record or winning the IC title? The IC title. John Cena has no interest in beating Ric Flair's record. He will not do so. He's made that clear, and I reported on that more than 2 years ago. Mr. Stumble says, after the sale, would Vince work for Tony Khan like how Bischoff worked for Vince? No. Isaac says, whatever happened to Roderick Strong? He's still there, he's just not being used right now. Richard says, will NXT be part of the draw or just Raw and SmackDown? At the moment, just Raw and SmackDown, though there will be some NXT call-ups. Jay says, do you ever see Jacob Fatu, Richard Holiday or Alex Hammerstone going to WWE? Jacob Fatu, yes. Alex Hammerstone, maybe. Richard Holiday is making a decent name for himself, but he's not there yet. That said, everything is on the table. Stuart says, Ospreay versus Pete Dunne would be a must-watch. Lots of broken fingers and then some hidden blades. Rosar says, my prediction is Comcast buys WWE. They already have a lot of money invested in WWE with Peacock and Raw, and those deals coming up soon, it makes the most sense in my opinion. they will certainly be making a strong bid. Richard says, Charlotte Flair is a face. No, thank you. Doesn't suit her at all. And you're entitled to that opinion. Simon says, Tom, what do you make of Sheamus and Drew? Brand new tag team name of Banger Bros. Kind of hate it. Simon says, what are your personal dream matches for Mercedes? I don't have personal dream matches for Mercedes in New Japan. I've not sat down and listed all the different matches she could have. It's New Japan. Every match is a dream match. I'd love to see her against Toriano. It'd be great. Sai says, biggest missed opportunity, the aborted WCW invasion. Richard says, is there any Johnny Gargano or Candice in title pictures? Not at the moment, no. Eric says, imagine the four-way tag team Usos versus FTR versus New Day versus Young Bucks. Probably never going to happen, but 3 of those. Harry says, do you think there are big returns at the Royal Rumble? Yeah, Cody's coming back. Joey says, could Triple H still stay in charge of creative even if they get bought out? Depends who buys it. Everything's on the table. Jay says, who's the next big independent star you see signing with NXT? Depends what he classifies independent. So there's a lot of interest in a lot of New Japan people, but when it comes to actual independent stars, the number at the minute is quite low, though they are still in contact with quite a few. Venom says, I hope Tony gets called up so I can finally get LA Knight versus Tony. Venom says, are we close to finally getting Indies call-up? We're always close. But as I say, there's been a lot of cancelled call-ups. Ricky says, do you see The Fiend and Taker coming back for anything? The Fiend, yes. Taker, no. Never. Never let it happen. No. Absolutely not. Not allowed. No. No. Anyway, no. Hector says, speaking of the upcoming draft, Tom, do you remember when Cena was drafted twice in the same night? Nope, I was not watching at the time. Spider-Boss says, Charlotte got mixed reactions on last SmackDown. Some people love her, some hate her. Yep. I did say. Spider-Boss says, it's more possible to see Cena back in WWE rather than keep waiting for The Rock's return. Yep. Spider-Boss says, I'd love to see one more world title reign of Eddie Guerrero. That's not a possibility, let's be fair. What is the biggest missed opportunity in the WWE women's division in the last few years? Women's division? See, up till now, I would have said firing Dakota Kai. And yet here she is, so. Razar says, I can see Charlotte versus Bianca at WrestleMania with the story being about respect, but Charlotte swerves, everyone turns heel again in the process. That could be fun. I mean, it could be. A lot of people have already decided to hate Charlotte before we even go into the match, though. And Venom said, if Cain Velasquez comes back, I want him versus Lashley. Once again, I'd like to quickly apologise for the technical issues we had at the beginning of the stream. There were a lot of them. Unfortunately, there just wasn't anything I could do with it. I will try and work out what's going on. I'm definitely having some internet issues, and I need to work out what those are. But in the meantime, I'll work on what we can do and develop things from there. But hopefully, we're able to get rid of those and nip those in the bud over the course of the next few days. A huge thank you to everyone who's hit likes. That's 62 likes. Huge thank you to everyone who's subscribed. 1,980 now. Going forwards, you will see me again on, well, you may see me in shorts. I do have a video coming out on Wednesday about the WWE sale and about the possibility of you buying the WWE. It's a bit tongue-in-cheek. It's a bit different from my normal informative ones. It's a bit more comedic, hopefully, and I hope you guys will like it. I'm working on that more tomorrow. Yes, Megan, Shayna not winning the Rumble. That was a missed opportunity and a half. But in the meantime, I will, of course, be back live on Friday for Spoiler Warning and for our SmackDown watch parties as we continue to build towards the Rumble. Come Royal Rumble, 10,000 views. It's not just a target, it's not a pipe dream, it's very doable. Until then, huge thank you to all of you for joining me. I'll see you all again soon. I've been Tom Colohue, you have been fantastic, and I'll see you all very soon.